What is up, budget billers, and happy February the 1st. My name is Trell, and you won't believe what we are about to go through once again. Could we be facing another government shutdown? Well, that's exactly what's on our horizon right now, and this could all happen within the next couple of weeks. The Democrats are trying very hard to pass legislation to prevent this from happening, but Congress is facing another government shutdown if they end up missing their deadline. Also, guys, hey, we heard from Chuck Schumer on how he plans to meet that deadline as well as to prevent the shutdown from occurring. Also, guys, in the news, we saw a huge blizzard-like storm pound the East Coast over the weekend, but this week we could see something similar hit the Midwestern states. Will the Midwest be prepared this time, or will Texas completely shut down? And lastly, guys, hey, we do have the potential of a $1,400 stimulus check, and this is not from a new piece of legislation. This is from the leftover funds that haven't been spent from the previous two stimulus bills. And I'm going to tell you guys all about it. So if you're interested in any of these topics today and you want to be a part of this channel, be so kind and go ahead and subscribe to it. It's totally free. And if you end up liking today's video, then go ahead and hit that like button for us. It really helps out this channel. Now let's go ahead and get into this video. Okay guys, real quick, I wanted to ask you for your support on my new YouTube channel that will be launching sometime this month. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, guys, so help a brother out, okay? Now, this new channel is called Budget Bill Finance, and I am going to be talking about how to grow your wealth, how to invest in stocks, as well as how to invest in real estate. And I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what I'm doing outside of YouTube. So, if you want to be a part of that channel, be so kind and go ahead and subscribe to it today. I hope to see you guys there. Now that link will be down below in the description. Well, over the weekend, we saw the East Coast area get pounded with this blizzard that hit most of the eastern states. Yes, the blizzard buffets East Coast with deep snow, winds, as well as flooding. But this week, we're expecting different types of snow as well as wintry mix in the Midwestern states. And yes, you guessed it, guys, my home state of Texas is going to be experiencing this week. Now, this is going to start at the end of Wednesday night and go through Thursday as well as Friday. But could we suffer another shutdown in the state of Texas? Now, this article talks about the Texas grid operator is warning about the electricity demands that could near record highs during this particular cold snap that is headed our way within the next 48 hours. ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, did not issue warnings or conservation calls, but it informed the government agencies and others that it was implementing an aggressive grid management plan, according to the Dallas Morning News. Now, specifically, the council predicted that the electric demand could be near the demand seen during last year's deadly cold snap, according to the newspaper. Now, this statement to the Hill, which was from ERCOT, said it was confident it would continue to meet energy demands despite the coming front that is headed our way. Now, because of the landmark reforms by the Texas legislature and implemented by the Public Utility Commission, the grid is more reliable and resilient than it has ever been in the past. Now, ERCOT is confident it will be able to meet electric demand as a result of the rigorous new preparation and resiliency requirements that have been put into place over the last 365 days. So guys, I live in Texas. You already know that. So I am hoping that we don't have another shutdown like we seen last year, in which some of my people in Texas had to deal with busted pipes in their ceilings, as well as outside, as well as everywhere, guys. So I hope that we don't have to deal with that here coming this week. Last year, guys, it was crazy. And this year we are expecting to receive around temperatures in the low 16 degrees. Now, us in Texas, we are not used to that type of weather, but I hope that ERCOT in this article is prepared and that we don't have to experience the same thing that we experienced last year, as well as other Midwestern states. In other news, guys, Pfizer vaccine for children under the age of 5 could be available by the end of this month in February. A recent report said that Pfizer and BioNTech are reportedly close to submitting a request for emergency authorization for the COVID-19 vaccine that can be administered to children under the age of 5 years old. Now, sources familiar with this matter told the Washington Post that the companies are expected to submit an emergency use authorization request for their 2-dose vaccine to the FDA or Food and Drug Administration as early as this Tuesday, which is today, potentially allowing for the vaccine to be available by the end of this month. Now, according to the sources who spoke with the Post, the FDA urged the companies to submit their request to the regulators could review the data on the vaccine. Now, the idea is that let's go ahead and start the review of the 2 doses. One source said that, who asked to remain anonymous, told the newspaper. Now, they said that if the data holds up to the submission, you could start seeing kids on the primary baseline months earlier than if you don't do anything at all until the 3rd dose data comes in. Now, the Biden administration officials told the Post that there was a consensus among health officials in seeing this move forward, speaking on the company's plans of submitting their request for this vaccine for these children under the age of 5 years old. But I will say that, guys, I am not sure that I want my 5-year-old or let alone my 3-year-old taking this particular vaccine. I know that I actually took it and I actually had my 11-year-old take it, but I am just leery about having my 3-year-old take it at such a young age, guys. I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section what you think about this vaccinations being administered to children under the age of 5 years old. It is really getting scary out there for our youngins, our children, our babies. I mean, giving our children this vaccination that has only been approved for the last 24 months, I mean, that is kind of scary, guys. But in other news, guys, hey, Denver is now going to be dropping their mask mandate as well as their vaccine mandates, and they are planning on doing it sometime this week. The city of Denver will lift many of its indoor mask and COVID-19 vaccine mandates later on this week. Now, beginning Friday, people will no longer be required under the public health order to wear a mask or show proof of vaccination for entry into a business in the city of Denver. Now, Hancock also says in a Twitter thread that the city's public health order requiring masks in schools and child care facilities will remain in effect for the time being, but mask wearing is still required on the city's public transportation and at the Denver International Airport. Organizations that serve vulnerable populations, other businesses, and venues may decide to continue to require masks or proof of vaccinations. They are well within their rights to do so, and we should support them. So guys, please do not give them a hard time in Denver if companies and businesses do require you to still provide vaccination proof as well as to require you to wear a mask. But anyways, guys, hey, on to some stimulus update news, guys. Hey, Congress is right now in jeopardy of missing another government shutdown. And yes, this is in regards to a particular deadline that Congress needs to meet in order to prevent the government shutdown from occurring. Yes, congressional negotiators are in danger of missing a February 18th deadline for passing an omnibus package of the annual appropriations for fiscal 2022. Now, a shutdown is very unlikely to happen, but members of the Senate Appropriations Committee from both parties warned that if negotiators blow through the mid-February deadline, it increases the likelihood that President Biden will have to settle for a year-long stopgap funding measure to keep the government open. Now, that would prevent him from putting his own stamp on department and agency budgets while Democrats control the Congress. And as a result, Senate Democrats right now are prioritizing a passage of the Omnibus spending bill ahead of the Build Back Better Agenda Act, which the House passed in November, but then stalled last month because of the opposition from Senator Joe Manchin in the Senate. But Chris Murphy said that, I think that the budget has to be next. To be honest, I want the Build Back Better bill to be done, but we have a narrow window to pass a budget, and I want to make sure that we get the budget deal on file. He also said that you have a limited window on a budget and you never know what's going to happen in 2022. But if we don't get a budget right now, there's a good chance that President Biden will never do a budget with the Democratic Congress. And this is what Murphy had to warn them about. And he also said that if we miss this deadline, it becomes really hard to avoid a year-long CR or continuing resolution. Now, the growing concern that Biden might not have a chance to put his stamp on the nation's spending priorities while the Democrats control both branches of the Congress comes amid a wave of Democratic retirements in the House and expectations that the Republicans will flip the lower chamber in the midterm elections. But guys, Chuck Schumer, he has a plan, and right now he is putting the pressure on lawmakers as the shutdown deadline nears ahead. Now, Chuck Schumer said in his remarks on the floor on Monday that he plans to sit down with Democratic lawmakers later this week to discuss the state of the negotiations in order to pass an omnibus package to fund the government within the next few weeks. Now, lawmakers have until February the 18th to strike an agreement on spending for fiscal year 2022, which began in October under a temporary continuing resolution passed last month that allows the government to remain funded under the previous year's spending levels. Now, so far, the Democratic-led House passed 9 out of 12 appropriation bills to fund the government. However, in the Senate, where the Democrats would need to win at least 10 votes from Republicans to pass this legislation in order to get a pass on the filibuster, none of the bills have yet to make it out of the upper chamber. And yes, guys, the stalled progress comes as leaders on both sides of the aisle have struggled for months to come to a bipartisan agreement on a top-line spending number, as well as areas like defense spending, as well as legislative riders such as the Hyde Amendment. Now, in order to prevent a shutdown next month, lawmakers have the option of passing another continuing resolution on or before the mid-February deadline if they aren't able to pass on the omnibus bill. So again, guys, hey, we are dealing with this once again. And yes, the government is facing another government shutdown. And this is going to happen within the next 18 days if they are unable to pass the omnibus bill and be able to issue a new spending bill for the fiscal year of 2022. So guys, I mean, they said in this article that this is very highly unlikely for it to happen. But if they end up missing this February 18th deadline, the government could face another shutdown and the government could run out of money. So again, guys, I hope this doesn't happen because we have so many people struggling in this country and we do not need anything else on our table in the United States to happen right now, especially as we are dealing with these tensions with the war that is potential to happen between Russia and the Ukraine. But I will keep you guys posted as usual. But we do have some good news, guys, because we do have a potential of another $1,400 stimulus check that could be offered here in the near future. And this is because of some unspent funds from the previous stimulus bills under the President Biden, as well as the former President Donald Trump. Yes, this article talks about the Democrats anticipate a new White House request for additional funds to cushion the fallout from the lingering COVID-19 pandemic that could pump more money into testing, vaccines, hospitals, and schools. Now, but after several previous rounds of relief, including last year's mammoth $1.9 trillion stimulus package, any new request is sure to be met with questions about whether existing funds are still in the pipeline. And yes, of the $5.7 trillion in fiscal support Congress has provided since early 2020, about $800 billion remains unspent and uncommitted to, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, which is a think tank, though those figures are reported with a lag. Now, two key Republican senators have already raised questions about why the nation faces a virus testing shortage after Congress appropriated what they estimated to be around $82.6 billion for testing related to programs over the last 2 years. But so far, it does not appear to be because of a lack of funding, but a more fundamental lack of strategy, as well as a failure to anticipate future testing needs by the administration. So yes, guys, in this article, they are talking about this particular unspent funds from the previous two stimulus packages, in which in total it is around $800 billion. Now, if we go back a few, we know that the previous stimulus package was around $400 billion, and that money actually went to sending out stimulus checks in the amount of $1,400. So if we look at those particular particular numbers, we know that $400 billion was actually allocated to provide $1,400 stimulus checks to Americans across the country. And now we have a total of $800 billion that is still unspent stimulus funds. So guys, if we were to take that money, $800 billion, and use that money to provide these $1,400 stimulus checks, that could be enough money to provide two $1,400 stimulus checks to Americans in this country. But let's just say they just take half of that money right now and just provide one more stimulus check of $1,400. This is still enough money to at least provide a fourth and a fifth stimulus check. And we know, guys, there are still millions of Americans still struggling in this country. And according to this article right here, we see that 79 million Americans are still having problems with paying their medical bills as well as paying off their debt right now. So we know that there are at least around 80 million Americans that are still struggling right now to pay their bills, in which that goes to show you that these $1,400 stimulus checks are much needed right now. And we have the future job numbers expected to come out later this week, and those job numbers are not expected to be actually a good thing. Those numbers are expected to actually come in lower than the expectations. So guys, we know that this amount of $800 billion is still unspent money, and we are urging Congress to use that unspent money to at least use half of that money and to provide a fourth stimulus check of at least $1,400 to Americans. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that this unspent stimulus money should be offered to the American people of at least another $1,400 stimulus check? Or do you think that Congress should hold on to that money to see exactly where they want to use that money later on in the future? Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'm curious to see what you guys think about what they should do with this $800 billion in unspent stimulus relief aid. Hey, anyways, guys, hey, that's all I have for you today. Now, if you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more, hey, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And if you end up liking today's video, then go ahead and hit that like button for us. It really helps out this channel, as well as it tells YouTube to share this video with others. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.